My name's Andrew Dean and welcome to In Focus. In Focus is an amazing gimmick. It gives you the ability to switch items, billets, cards, money, anything you want you can switch at any time. Not only that, you can make items appear, decks of cards, Rubik's Cubes, anything you want you can make appear. It is that good. It leaves you clean at the end. And I've been showing you the gimmick. So here all the time we have one card and one card only, and it is the card you signed. That was brilliant, thank you. In Focus has been a staple of my professional repertoire for a long time. It's quick, it's punchy, and it's guaranteed to get those reactions where your audience will remember the trick long after you've left the table. And one card here, if you take those, what was your card that you signed? It was? Take it and have a look.
How did you do that?
Oh.
It's magic.
I'm Andrew Dean, and this is In Focus.
What have you done? Hey, we're going on now. Oh, there we go.
Oh, hello. we were both looking at our screens.
We thought we were going to lose people then.
Yeah. How are we doing? Are we all well? All keeping good?
Hope you are well. As we know, welcome along to the Real Workers Magic Jam number 11. This is the 11th episode.
You know, I can't believe we're on 11.
I know.
So that's 22 weeks. No, 11 weeks. So that's 11 weeks.
Yeah. I wonder how many hours we've done in total so far on the Magic Jam.
Well, I think between Harry
Nardi.
No,
or just between Harry.
Well, Harry Robson.
Well, Harry on his own. That was
Harry
100
Robson.
hours long.
I think between Harry Robson, Matt Wright, and
Wayne Goodman.
We've probably done a full day there.
I think Wayne Goodman's got the record.
Yeah, that was like 3 hours, wasn't it?
3 hours.
3 hours.
It was amazing, though.
Yeah.
If you didn't catch last week's show, make sure you go and check it out. It was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, not just for material performing wise, tricks and that sort of thing, but the theory behind it and the way he approaches it and how he thinks about it, it's just amazing, just so good. So
it was really interesting to watch because I've worked with Wayne for years and years. For the best part of 20 years I've been performing with Wayne.
Yeah.
And that is honestly the first time that I've managed to get into his head a little bit.
All right, okay.
Yeah, because we've never really had that much of a chat.
All right, okay.
You know, about his theory side of things.
Yeah.
You know, and it was really interesting to see how he thinks and how he puts his routines together. And
yeah, I mean, I think from our perspective, it's been really good because everybody we've had on is a working magician. You know, Harry Nardi, Etienne, you know, they're all working magicians and all in different fields. I mean, Matt Wright is a stage and parlour and cabaret and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the things that they think about isn't, you know, everything that we normally associate with magic, is it? It's all the little nuances that they all bring to it. I mean, Wayne last week was talking about the laughs he gets and how he structures his routines and that sort of thing. And you know, it might not be the strongest routine, but you put laughs in and then you get a 10-minute routine out of something that's 2.5 minutes long.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and his personality, the one thing he was explaining as well was it's his personality that shines through.
Yes.
So that makes and creates the real magic.
Yeah, so even if it isn't just an all right effect that somebody could perform and get a good reaction, if you like, and they go, oh, that Wayne guy's amazing.
Yeah.
They're not going, the magic's amazing. They're saying, oh, that Wayne guy, and that's why, you know, I mean,
really good
that's
point,
why like people like myself and Harry Robson and people like yourself get rebooked, because we do that. Harry Robson calls it the rules. You
Right.
know the rules.
Okay.
You know you've got to make the person that books you feel at ease, and
Yeah.
you know.
And he's got a great way of doing that, hasn't he? Harry particularly.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, if you didn't watch Harry's, he doesn't perform a single effect for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But what he does do, he tells you some of the real secrets of being a close-up magician.
Oh.
How to get reactions, how to get a standing ovation at a close-up gig.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah.
That is literally one of the best tips I've ever had, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to gigs of going back to normal,
So
to be able to use that technique. It is
Yeah.
so good.
I don't think we won't tell you.
No,
Go
no.
back and have a look.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was about 2/3 of the way through.
Yeah.
About 2/3 of the way through, because I remember looking at your face and you went,
Very clever idea. It's a great idea.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What would be great is if you could hit share. If you can share this into some groups, then that would be brilliant.
We try and share it as much as possible, because obviously, I mean, it's all free content. It's all, you know, so we try and support the people who come on. And I mean, if it was just 3 hours of John and I, it'd be very boring. You get sick of it. But we try and get people on that obviously, you know, from all areas of magic. If you do, I did put a post up the other day saying, who would you like to see come on? So we've had a few. I did think, how good would it be if we got a female magician on? We do seem to be very male. I was going to say male top heavy, but that doesn't really sound right, does it? So so if you got any suggestions, anybody you'd like to see,
we've had Kay on the show.
We've had Kay on the show. Yeah, Kay's. In fact, we talked about Kay, because she's doing a granny magic now.
Yeah.
So I don't know how she gets away with it, because she's only 21, 22, something like that.
She looks great as an old woman.
All right, Joe. Is that what you're into?
I'm not going to say anything else. Should we move on swiftly?
Mind you, I mean, they're self-sufficient. They've got the pensions, you know what I mean?
Oh, it's about, that.
I don't know how I should play. Oh, she might be listening. Sorry, love. Hold on.
Scott Clark. I'm guessing Scott won one of the prizes.
He did.
I'm guessing he won the backing of your playing card.
Yes. Yeah.
Brilliant. He said he took your design deck to work and everybody loved the design.
Oh, Scott, just said of yours. You're right. Put some glasses on, wear it tight.
And you're in the design here.
Oh, yeah. But we're on the wrong side. You're on this side, and I'm on that side.
Well, we're turn it upside down.
Oh, well. Don't do that. I think if you do that, it evokes some sort of evil spirit of magic.
Can everybody hear us okay? Nobody's said any, well, people have said, but they haven't said anything about what we're saying.
Sorry, Claire's just said rude. That's me sleeping in the spare room tonight. So, I mean, any suggestion, even down to if you want, because when we first started, we had people coming on, we had Taran come on and set us a challenge. If you want to do something like that, that'd be amazing. I know people are getting back to work now, so they're not got as much free time on their hands. But anything you need, anything you want from us, we're always around. If we can do anything, let us know.
Yep.
And like I said, suggestions for guests and things like that would be super.
Speaking of guests.
We're getting better at these links, aren't we?
That was good.
Come on.
Yeah. Well, we can't do that.
No.
Can we do that? Well,
I don't know.
Touching plot.
I don't say that either. That's a euphemism for something. I don't know.
Turtle's heading.
Too far, Joe.
Too far. Speaking of guests. Nice little link there, Andy.
Yeah. Speaking of guests.
Speaking of turtle heading.
How could you say that?
We've got a great guest. We need to bring him on better than that. Hang on. It looks like everything's froze.
I don't think it has.
No, it's still live.
Yeah, we're still live. Still live.
Have you seen any, before we bring the guest on, have you seen any magic or anything that you're liking at the moment?
Do you know, I've just buried my head in books. I've literally, I've got Mark's here that I'm working my way through. That's Mark Colburn's book, Grips, Lines and Looks. Again, really good, really sort of. Wayne from last week, I got his PDF bundle.
Yep.
I'm going through that as well. That was my biggest decision last Thursday.
Right.
What do I read first?
Right.
Because I didn't know whether to go for the close-up thing or the jokes or the. So I just thought, well, do you know what? I'm going to read a bit of each one. So that's what I did. So
I started with his new books.
oh
With his
right,
new
okay.
books, yeah, the
Yeah.
interactive magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really good. Like, there's an idea that I took out of it that I'm going to perform in any live kind of shows like
Yeah.
this. But I'm also going to try and take it to the stage as well.
Oh,
when I'm
right, okay.
performing. Just because it's so interactive and such a nice opener.
Yeah.
You know. Speaking of guests,
Speaking again.
we've got a brilliant guest for you today.
Oh, what can you say about it? John's amazing. I mean,
Oh yeah,
the books he writes are so accessible for every level,
yeah, yeah.
and it makes complicated magic really easy to understand.
Definitely streamlines a lot of,
Yeah.
you know, like a lot of like what would be technically difficult plots and
Yeah.
and things, you know, and to figure them out, it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
And to write them so well. That's one of the best things about John's book. They're written so well and they're so clear and concise that you go, I know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of his work slightly reminds me of Peter Duffy's work.
All right, okay.
Yeah, obviously, like the books are just full of card tricks.
Yeah.
But the plots are often really kind of not always like completely simplified, but it's always engaging material. You know, stuff that actually works. You know.
Yeah.
So
And really, I mean, he's been one of the busiest magicians during lockdown.
yeah,
You know, he's been doing lectures and Zoom meetings and all sorts all over the
all over
world.
the world. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Constantly streaming to
Yeah.
different countries and teaching magicians his magic.
Yeah.
And he's a highlight for Blackpool for me when I go to the Blackpool Magic Convention, and he's always there selling his magic.
Yeah.
You know, and just watching him perform, and he rocks up with a box of books, puts his books behind him, and then before you know it, he's got crowds of people surrounding him, performing amazing card stuff. And there's always something new.
Yeah.
There's always something new, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we bring him on?
Yeah, let's bring him on.
Yeah,
Let's have a virtual round of applause for
John Carey.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Hello, good afternoon, good morning, bonsoir, hola, yo, yo, Joe, and hope you guys are well, and hope everybody's coping well during these past few months, this craziness that's been going on in the world. And thanks for having me on, fellas. And I like that little moment earlier where you went.
Thank you for coming on.
I like that little moment earlier where you went like that and touching cloth, and I was trying to think what you mean, and shit, I'm sure I know what it means, but I just can't think, like, you know. Anyway, should we carry on?
I didn't mean to bring you on like that. I do
What?
apologise.
Yeah,
I had to dive and then bring you back.
I've had far worse, believe me. So we're going to have a laugh tonight, everybody. This is what it's all about. I'm going to show you a bunch of tricks, going to have a chat with the lads. We'll take some questions. We'll have a laugh. I don't take myself very seriously. I love my magic. I take that seriously. But you guys have got questions tonight, and I can help you in any way with stuff I show. I'm going to teach you a couple of new tricks as well. I'm going to perform a few things that you guys might be interested in as well that I've got as part of a little package you may or may not be interested in later on. And we'll just go with the flow.
Yeah,
Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. There was something that I've always wanted to ask you, and I've sort of a few times sort of approached the table at Blackpool and gone, and then you've always been busy, so I thought, oh, I'm not bothering. But it's one of those that, because when I first started, I was massively into coin magic. I was really, any sort of coin magic plot, I was like, oh. And then as I progressed through, it's gone from coins to cards, and now my love is cards.
Yeah.
Was that cards always your sort of first love with magic, or was there something else in between? Or
yeah, it was cards predominantly. After a couple of years of buying sort of little novelties from Supreme Magic in Devon back in the day, I went to my first. I went to my first proper magic convention in 1986, the IBM British Ring Convention in Eastbourne on the south coast. And the thing that changed everything for me was on the late night close-up in the convention hotel. There was Mike O'Brien, a great British professional, the late great Aldo Colombini, and the amazing late great Kevin Ray. And Kevin's magic just hit me like a thunderbolt between the eyes.
Yeah.
And I went up to him afterwards and I just introduced myself, and I was in awe of the man, what he'd done that night. I found out once we got to know each other a little bit over the coming years, and I'll tell you a bit about that in a moment. The effects I saw that night were Kevin's version of Al Schneider's Matrix, a personalization on Di Vernon's Triumph. When he straightened that pack out right before my eyes, and then coins assembled, it hit me. Honestly, I was thunderstruck. I really, really was. And he also did the cups and balls flawlessly. And I didn't even suspect the loads at the end. I said, I want to learn card material and things like this. He said, well, you have to practice. And the next day he arranged to meet me for a coffee, and we went over to Magic Books by Poststand in business then, Donald and Betty Wallace. And he asked Donald to pass over that bright orange coloured hardback book with a dust jacket, Royal Road to Card Magic. Changed my life.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Excellent. I was going to ask, can you remember the Matrix routine and what actually happened in it? It
was Schneider's routine, Al Schneider's classic routine, which has a straightforward coin assembly. I still think is the best, 4 cards, 4 coins, and just cover each coin in the corner. And there's none of this kind of stuff like a flipping Jackie Chan film or something, It's like through time, through space, boom. Through time, through space, boom. Through time, through space, boom. And there was no kickbacks. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with kickbacks, but it was just so pure. And I still maintain to this day, as a pure coin assembly, Matrix, call it what you will, gentlemen, it's the best version, Al Schneider's Matrix. Because there's no herky-jerky movements, because I see some of the guys who are going for amazing kickbacks and things like that. And just my honest, humble opinion, it's a blur sometimes, It's a blur because they're having to cover stuff with blinding speed to be able to create that amazing kickback or something like that. Or there's a moment which just doesn't rest well with me, It's like, I can't see what you're doing there, but I can feel it,
Yeah. Sometimes there's a payoff between something being, really amazing, but a massive slight or a massive movement, whereas sometimes making it more simple and picking up the card and it's vanished over picking it up, flicking it, doing a turnover move and all that sort of
stuff.
Yeah. Sometimes the payoff isn't worth it if something strange or unusual happens. Or, But like I said, I always remember the Matrix the first time I saw it, and it was just straight to the point. And that for me is that kind of that's so easy to go away and explain. I like magic that you can go away and explain what happened easily.
People can describe the effect in one sentence, Andy and Joel. The lad put 4 coins in a square on the table, and they all ended up in the corner. No, I've no idea how he did it. It looked like magic. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That's great. That's a great way to look at magic as well. I often do with a lot of anything I do really.
After a couple of years with Royal Road, because Kevin very kindly took me under his wing. He never charged me a penny or wanted a penny, because I lived in London like Kevin did at the time. I live out in the sticks now, but I got to see chapters of the Royal Road, Kevin performing that material, because he was the first British artist to be invited onto the Paul Daniels Magic Show, when Paul was flying high, Yeah.
Right. Oh,
and and then we got onto the Di Vernon material. But also at the time, Kevin said, you want to start looking at coins? And he advised me to buy Bobo's Modern Coin Magic, the big version, the big hardback version. And so I put my teeth on Bobo's. And again, I had Kevin there to show me what the stuff should look like. And I was so lucky to have that, there's quite a few people who have mentors these days in magic, but there wasn't many mentors around in them days. There was one thing in them days, though, you had to pay your dues. You had to show people who were more experienced than you that you actually were willing and able to actually study, learn, and practice and learn, rather than just wanting magic spoon fed to you, you know.
Yeah.
Something about that time that I still like.
Yeah, and I think if you put, well, they talk about the 10,000 hour rule, don't they? But if you put that amount of time in, you're not just learning the technique, you're developing it and you're changing it for your hands and your ability, and you know. So you're not just going to do a classic palm. You're going to do a palm that fits your hand, that fits your mannerisms and everything else. Whereas if you just do it for 5 minutes and go, great stuff, I can do that, you're not learning those little nuances. You're not making it your own. And
Absolutely.
that's why I love books over videos, because when you watch a video, you're picking up all their little nuances. Whereas if you read a book, you're changing it.
And pick up your own nuances.
Yeah.
And it's your nuances that can make it that little bit different.
Yeah.
Whereas I guess copying somebody doing something, it's like it still is a little bit like magicians now who get into magic and go onto YouTube and they start copying magicians on YouTube. The same thing does apply to magicians who are really experienced, and getting a DVD and just copying somebody's action nuances.
Well, I always say never be a second class impersonator. Always be a first class you. And you mentioned two of my absolute favourite magicians in the British professional magic world. Although one of them lives in Spain, Matt and Harry earlier, Matt Wright and Harry Robson. And one of the reasons why them two boys have been so successful, not only do they do great magic, but their individuality, their personality, they wrap around their performance is unique.
Yeah.
There's nobody who performs like Matt. There's nobody who performs like Harry. And this is why consistently for Lord knows how many years, they've been booked for high-end gigs all over the UK. And sometimes I know them boys get flown out to some crazy places for big corporate dues, you know?
Yeah. And it's right. I mean, that's it. I mean, you could almost, at one point, I could almost tell who had been watching, Darren Brown or David Blaine on TV, and then learning the tricks, but learning them word for word.
Yeah.
Well,
I hate to say this, but I've seen professional magicians. I'm going to say, I actually saw a magician who was a friend of mine, took John Archer's one of his routines and performed it exactly word for word, but also wore the same shirt as he wears.
Really?
Honestly.
Really? That's mental.
Yeah. It
That
is.
is mental.
I've got a quick question for you, John. It's quite a generic question, but it's one thing I don't know. When did you first get interested in magic?
When I was about 9 years of age, I was in hospital for quite a period of time and had an operation, quite a major operation. And mum and dad were back and forth every day. And at that kind of age, you know what it's like getting kids' toys. They're 5-minute wonders. You're interested in something for a couple of days, and then it's next. And mum and dad brought me up a book. It was a paperback book by the then famous, just before Paul Daniels came onto the scene big time on telly, David Nixon. And it was David Nixon Book of Magic, published by the Puffin Book Company in the UK at the time. And it was full of some very simple tricks. I later found out that the tricks were actually written and illustrated by the late, great Ali Bongo, who was David's technical assistant on TV and consultant. I love Ali. I miss Ali to this day. And that really, the bug bit there and really bit. And then Paul Daniels, within 12 months or so, just suddenly launched into the stratosphere, magically speaking. And the Saturday night shows for Paul, I was just like, you could not get me to move. I used to sit like a little Chinaman, cross-legged, in front of the telly. Mum and dad was in his armchair, mum was on the sofa, and I was just like this, engrossed, totally wrapped in it, and then Paul started to publish books for the public, like Mr. Nixon, and then they started to bring out them packet tricks, the Paul Daniels range, in little red and blue bus pass wallets. I used to think of them as like, and boxes of tricks as well. And my dear old mum and dad, Lord rest their soul, they treated me to all of those, sometimes because things were tight in them days, but they always made a lot of sacrifices for me and my magic to let me later on go to conventions and lectures, and I'd heard that Tommy Wonder was coming to London some years ago, and I really wanted to go, and they They somehow rustled up the train fare and stuff, and the lecture fee, because it was I think it was a tenner, which back then was quite a lot of money, you know. And I'm feeling old, and you know, and I got to see Tommy, and that was just phenomenal, you know, absolutely phenomenal. I still maintain Tommy is one of the 3 or 4 most important magicians of all time, just on another level. Yeah,
definitely.
He had an aura.
We've had a question from Gideon Wall.
Hello,
now, he spoke about Royal Road to Card Magic, but he said, what advice would you give a newbie magician?
Yep. Good evening, Gideon. Thank you for joining Andy and Joel's show. And by the way, before I answer your question best I can, sir, let's give a big virtual one of these to these 2 boys for what they're doing, all the content they're giving away each week, sharing their magic. You know, sometimes the humour's a little bit iffy, but you know, mind you, so is mine. But the magic and the mentalism.
I think you're talking about Andy there, right?
I don't know, whatever. But no, big shout out to you boys for the great job you're doing, and I know a lot of people get a lot of pleasure out of the shows that you do. So having me on tonight is going to be all downhill. Boom, boom. But no, so Gideon, a newbie magician like yourself, well, the one thing I always advise newbies, people I teach privately, is there's so much temptation in the magic swimming pool, you know. And magic is so accessible now, maybe too accessible. There's downloads literally coming out probably every hour around the world in different time zones. You know, there's stuff being released every week. I mean, back in the day, boys, I mean, a book coming out, a hardback book on close-up or magic in general was an event once or twice a year. You know, and but what I would say, Gideon, is don't try to do too much too soon. If it's card magic you want to get into, probably a better resource than Royal Road, although I think Royal Road is timeless, but it was written for a certain era, the 40s and the 50s, is Roberto Giobbi's Card College Volume 1. In fact, I know a chap who has done nothing but study the Giobbi's Card College Volume 1 for the best part of 15 months now, and his progress is remarkable. It really, really is. Because that's like Royal Road. It's a formulated course. There's 5 volumes of that. So if you want to get in the cards, Royal Road is great. Card College is great. Royal Road is still great. If you want to see Royal Road in action, Paul Wilson did a great job on it, a box set a few years ago, like a big 5-disc set. There's still tricks in Royal Road that I love to do. You know, like when, well, they're starting to open again now, but back when I used to be down the village pub, invariably I would do the slop shuffle, you know, the in the hands triumph. You know, I love that. The tipsy trick, it was called in Royal Road. It's a classic. Or the 3 cards across. The 3 cards across is great because if you've got the heebie-jeebies about palming, you've got the best cover in the world for palming 3 cards in that and adding them on. It's all built into the routine. But in general, Gideon, and any of you ladies and guys tuning in tonight who are quite new, yes, I know it's exciting, but you can't have it all at once, you know. You're better off focusing on 1 or 2 things and doing them better than everybody else than you are doing 20 or 30 things sort of slapdash, you know. Trust me, you'll get your, you know, get your foundations. You've got to, it's cliche, but you've got to have the foundations before you can build the house. Learn your basic sleights, whether it's cards or coins, you know. Learn how to palm a card. Learn how to vanish a coin. Learn how to do a top change. Top change. There's nothing really technical to the top change. Some people write, oh, you mustn't lift your thumb and things like that. I've seen people do the top change where the misdirection is just so strong. It looks like the hands don't even come together, but they physically have to, you know, but they know the moment. You have to know when the moment is. And I'll never forget when the late, great Kevin Ray, we went up north and we stayed at his place up there and we had a bit of a boys trip for a few days up in Hartlepool. And he said to me, tonight I want to see you do the top change routine out of Royal Road for my friends. I said, they magicians? He said, no, but they love magic and they know you're coming. They will ask you to do something. And I said, crikey, yeah. I said, one-on-one, I could probably get away. He said, no, you're going to do it in front of a group. So I did a couple of tricks after Kev introduced me. I'd had a couple of pints, bit of Dutch courage before then. And Kev went like that to me. In other words, that's the cue. You've got to do it now. It's now or never. So I did it as a wrong card, right card. I said, there's your card, the blah, blah. No, that's not my card, mate. And I felt I'm getting excited now because I remember that moment where the funny thing was, I actually didn't feel like I'd done the move. I know that sounds weird, but my timing felt so good, you know. And by the way, when you do a top change as a wrong card, right card, and if you've got the luxury of a table, that wasn't my card, mate. And I kind of lean down with the pack in my hand like this and go, and leave the pack there and go, oh, really? As I'm just holding the card now in my hand. I've never tipped this, actually. It gets the deck out of the play. So now the change is just at the fingertips rather than with the pack there. The pack's long out of the way in the shadow zone, yeah? So it's wasn't my card. Oh, really? I come, oh, really? The pack's now out of the way. And I say, oh, but I was close. The right colour, yeah? Oh, watch. I'm not kidding you. People freaked out. And I was buzzing afterwards. I didn't really need much alcohol afterwards. I said, you're right. And he went like that, you know? And, yeah. Sorry, I waffled on a bit there, but, you know, I go off on tangents. I get things that flash back to me, you know?
No, it's fine.
It's a good tip about the distance, because we were talking about this last week, weren't we?
Yeah.
So getting into that deck and the change happens, you know, when the deck appeared, you know, didn't ever appear to be involved, or
it's like if I may, boys, let's just say the selection's a three of diamonds, yeah? One Tamarisk talks about this. If you did a thing, was that your card, the Queen of Diamonds, and they say no, they say, oh, what was your card? And they say three of diamonds, and you go like that, and it's changed. Okay, it's not a bad change. However, if you do the double lift like this, do whatever double lift, come over, show the card, and there's your card, the Queen of Diamonds, yeah? Oh, it wasn't your card. Oh, watch. Now the change is there and the pack's over there. It's called spatial separation. Much stronger that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It is. I mean, getting that out of the way and getting the deck out of the way. So when they come to retell somebody, they'll be like, he just had the card in his hand.
Exactly.
He clicked, he blew, he turned it over, and it was there.
Yeah, and you're creating like a false memory, or yeah.
But there's nothing finer than when you've been practicing, and then you do it. I mean, there's been occasions I've been working on stuff, and then I've done it, I've done the dirty work, and I've almost nearly stopped myself and gone, oh, did you see that? Because
You'd be gutted if you said
yeah, of course we did. We've just been, but you do, when you do that top change, you get that little warm glow inside, like, oh, yeah, you know.
Oh, it really is a worker's move. It's one of the greatest things in card magic, and it really, once you understand the moment, you know, and sometimes you have to wait, you know, the old cliche Max Malini before he does a pass or something. How long do you wait? I wait a week, you know. You have to wait for the moment sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
Jerky movements. It's not necessary. Not necessary at all.
Yeah, and I think sometimes what a lot of people will tell you in person, but what a lot of people don't put in books is to wait. Waiting is the hardest thing, because you know you've got to do that pass, you know you've got to do that double lift, or you know you've got to do that, and you're like, I just want to get it over with. So you're almost, but you're getting your hands burned, and the hardest thing is just waiting.
Indeed. But one of the things that affects people's timing, people who work commercially, even experienced people like yourselves, prior to COVID and everything else, and when people get back out there, hopefully things settle down, is the venue and the timings when you've only got a certain amount of time to spend at each table, and you have to rush sometimes because things fall behind at these events, as you know. The venues affect the repertoire, and the timing's going to affect your repertoire, and it can affect your whole performance, because you think, holy shoot, I've got 5 more tables to do in half an hour. That's pressure, you know. You've got to rush around, like, you know.
Top change.
Yeah.
It is. No, that's, you know, it's been such a long time. I don't even think about it now. I'm like, because all the shows I've done since lockdown sort of eased up have just been stand up. You know, I've been doing almost parlour for a group of people that are all sat 2 meters apart.
Yeah.
So I've not done any table magic or anything since March.
Yeah.
Good to hear you're out there again, though, Andy. Good to hear you're out there doing some actual real shows again.
I mean, it's getting better, but it's still odd, still weird.
Yeah. I'm finding it getting more inquiries for next year, the following year.
Yeah.
So people are obviously, people are looking forward to next year, 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not kidding you. Like recently, my neighbours Alison and Liz either side and their families, we all pulled our resources together and socially distanced and had a little party in Liz next door's garden and everything, tables and chairs, beers and sarnies and wine and God knows what. And I don't think I really drunk much the first hour or so. I just literally almost metaphorically got drunk on socializing. It was so nice, you know.
Yeah, we forget we are quite social creatures, aren't we? We do need that interaction.
Yeah,
it does, and it makes you appreciate things that are important and things that are not so important. Times like this, I really do believe that.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna, as magicians, entertainers, that sort of thing, we're gonna be far more important when this is done, because people will want to smile, they'll want to laugh, they'll want that
release.
You know, so it is going to be really important that we're all, top of our game and we're not lazy about it. So.
Absolutely, and I also think the best are going to shine through as well.
Yeah.
Because now, whilst we're in lockdown, people are getting ideas of things that we're going to be performing when we do get to go back out. It's going to be very idea driven. Magic might even change quite a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be that when because we're having to do the parlour, or we're having to do, you can sit at a table and perform, or people are coming to you. You might have longer. You might have, you were just saying about you've got 5 minutes, you've got to get onto your next table. It might be that we'll have a bit longer time because people will spare the time to actually be entertained.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I honestly believe what you say is totally true there. And you guys and some of our other friends who are pros, semi-pros, might want to focus on that and actually like book out the corporates where people come over to them rather than them flying around the table. And you can actually do a parlour-esque show where people are coming over to you, and you maybe repeat that show. Say you do 3 15ers or 3 20s throughout the evening with a break in between. And you can have it set up just like the guys and the ladies who do bunco booths, flea markets, and the people who do the casino nights at the corporate gigs. But just be the magician. And I don't know about you guys, I'd much sooner be in focus there rather than flying around 10 tables like a blue-ass fly. People coming to me.
Yeah.
And when you've got the space, so it opens up.
Sorry. Did you say that's our sound broke up a little bit? Did you say that's something you've been doing, or that is something that you want?
No, I don't gig anymore. I long stopped since gigging. Basically, I've got enough on my plate, just publishing, doing some consultancy for a few people behind the scenes, lecturing. Obviously, I've had to reinvent myself the last few months and do what I normally do, home and abroad, via Zoom, and what have you. And creating, I just love it. But I've got the best part of 25 years experience under my belt of working in the corporate sector, magically speaking, with an old job that I used to have on the railways, doing the two. I was a lot younger then. It was a lot easier to do it. It'd kill me now. But I would advise people. No, I've never done it, but I would advise people to maybe think like that. Excuse me, because with parlour style shows, as you guys know, it opens up a broader spectrum of material you can use. You can start doing those card routines where you can make a ribbon spread. You can think about doing matrix. You can make about thinking doing essentially close-up tricks you can do maybe going around tables, but expanding them and making them into stand-up pieces.
Great idea. I really like that.
Well, that's it. You've got more control over your environment and everything else, haven't you? When you go to a table,
you want everybody looking around and out your face.
Yeah.
So, like you say, if you could set up a table and get everybody gathered around it, and the table, like you said, becomes the
Absolutely, you can. Yeah, absolutely. And also, you'll probably find working like that is a lot easier. And you won't be fighting against the Twitters and all the social media guys when you're going around to tables, because they'll be focused on you. And the chances are you'll get much more footage as well. Some lady says, "Oh, are you filming? Could you film me? Would you mind sharing it afterwards?" You don't even have to go looking for it; it'll fall into your hand. And the more of those you get, you know, if they come to you, and Scott Clark's just said, "I agree. I feel they should come to you. It's more open to fun." And Scott's right, you know.
Yeah, absolutely,
yeah. We've had a question from Gary Middleton.
Hello, Gary. I bet this is a wind-up.
He said, "Do you know any Scottish magicians?"
Yeah, there's one called Ian Bruge. One only Scottish magicians. Yeah, there's some guy called Hamish MacLeod. He lives in Stirling. He works in a pub called the Birds and the Bees, but he goes by the alter ego of Gary Middleton. Gordon Bruce, one of the best card magicians of all time. Hello, Wayne. Good evening. Thanks for your kind words, mate. I'm a leg end, not a legend. A leg end.
Alan Robinson, he's a Scottish magician.
Have we got any
more questions? If anybody has any questions, feel free to fire them in.
Yeah,
that'll be brilliant.
Let's show you boys a trick. Come on.
You want to show us a trick?
Yeah, come on. Let's show you a trick.
Yeah, let's have a trick. Let's have a trick.
All right, then. We'll get Andy to help me with this one. It's a little interactive effect, Andy, yeah?
Okay.
I've got a little packet of cards on the table. We'll get back to those in a moment. And we're going to play a game of imagination. I think you may well have a good imagination. I think you'd be the perfect person for this. So I want you to imagine 5 playing cards, yeah? You've got the ace, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of spades. Ace of spades, 2 of spades, 3 of spades, 4 of spades, and 5 of spades. Some are odd numbers, some are even numbers, yeah?
Yeah.
But we don't need them all. So in your imagination, do you take out the odds or the evens?
Oh, I'm going to take out the evens, please.
Okay, that's the 2 and the 4 of spades. In your imagination, which one do you give to me?
Oh, the 2 of spades.
Meaning you're left holding on to one card, the 4 of spades, through choices and decisions made entirely by you. But you could be holding on to an ace of spades in your imagination, a 5, a 3, a 2, or a 4. Anything, any number is possible. This packet has been here the whole time, right, Andy? Maybe 4 is a magic number. I'm going to count and deal to 4. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. Jesus Christ! Look, there's that 4 of spades you're holding in your imagination, Andy. Was that choice? Was that chance, Andy? Was it choice? Was it chance? Or was it your destiny? I'll tell you what, pal. They say it's written in the card. I think it was actually your destiny, something like so. I was doing this the other night, and the lady said to me, "John, there's another word for that, isn't there?" I said, "It's funny you should say that, my dear, because where I come from, they spell it F-A-T-E, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is when destiny, well and truly, met fate." Well done, Andy.
Oh, John.
Thank you so much.
It's amazing.
I'm stumped.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
Thank you very much indeed. That's an updated version on something I call Destiny, and it's inspired by the classic B-Wave or B-Wave, however you want to pronounce it, of the maestro, Mr. Max Maven. I've had a lot of fun with this the past year or so. I've had the cards greatly improved by my friend, the amazing Michael Murray from Newcastle. These cards really pop, and it's a great little trick you can pop in your wallet or your pocket. No moves. It's all sleight of tongue. Yeah.
That's really nice.
Really good.
Yeah.
The structure of that is excellent.
Yeah, you felt.
Indeed,
I know you said it's sleight of tongue, but it feels really free.
Yeah,
really.
And it looked really free. Yeah, well done. That's a great trick.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, we're getting lots of love from that. Lots of applause. David Hand, what a great start. There we go.
Thank you, David.
Mark Wild said he bought that last year at Blackpool.
Yeah, this is the improved version though. The cards were a lot smaller, the ink, the print rather, and these really do pop. Yeah, I'm really pleased with this set. And anybody interested in that, it will actually teach them what Mr. Maven calls verbal control. It will teach you what to do and what not to do, because Magician's Choice, or equivoke, however you want to pronounce it, is often misunderstood. In my opinion, it falls into two categories. It's either very strong, like, whoa, that's strong, or it's very, very obvious. It's very transparent, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that was really, yeah. And it genuinely felt I had a free choice between 1 and 5. It was.
Well, while we're on a roll, let me do another one, based, because I like moving and stuff. I'll answer questions all night long, boys. We'll have a good laugh.
Yeah.
But I want to get on a roll and everything, and then we can bounce questions and have a laugh, and you can tell me to shut up for 5 minutes and whatever else.
No, it's all.
We'll try something with Joel now. Joel, we're going to play another little mind game with you this time, yeah? I want you to imagine up there in the north that you're that in your hands you hold 52 imaginary pieces of paper, just in your mind. You don't have to do it physically, just in your mind, Joel. Yeah. Some have got red ink on them, some have got black ink on them. No more clues. It's a pack of playing cards, just in your mind, in your imagination. Now, can you hear me okay, Joel?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Awesome. Now, Joel, you're an experienced professional. You know that a pack of playing cards consists of two types of cards. You've got the number cards and the
Picture cards. That's
right, sir. Yeah, I think Andy and everybody at home would agree the picture cards are the most colourful. Lots of detail, lots of colour. And also, guys, I think you'd agree. You know that the picture cards, of course, consist of 3 groups of cards. You've got jacks, queens, and kings. Jacks, queens, and kings. Joel, which of those 3 groups do you want to work with? The jacks, the queens, or the kings? It's entirely up to you.
The kings.
The kings, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, imagine you're holding 4 kings, but you don't need them all. So you take out 2. Do you take out the red kings or the black kings?
I took out the black kings.
Okay, so that's the king of clubs and king of spades. In your imagination, which one do you teleport through the screen down to me? Which one do you give to me, the club or the spade?
I'm going to give you the spades.
All right, so now in our imaginations, I'm holding 1 playing card, the king of spades. 3 minutes ago, in your imagination, you had 52 loose pieces of paper, some with red ink on them, some with black ink on them. Yes, a pack of playing cards. And then through choices and decisions made entirely by you, you've sent down 1 fault and 1 fault only, the king of spades. But this could be a 2, a 7, or 9. Any card is possible. Imagination, though, ladies and gentlemen, is one thing. Reality is another, because in my back pocket of my jeans, I've got 1 card and 1 card only, but not any old card. The king of spades. Something like that.
That's great.
That's really.
Well, thank you. This illustrates the same concept, but dressed up in a slightly different context. And it's so versatile because you can literally work anywhere with anything. You know, I'm never at a loss to work. You know, scraps of paper, borrow 4 or 5 objects. I can do a little miracle anywhere, in a cafe, in a bar, anywhere at all. That routine comes from Reflections, the book Reflections, and I'm really proud of it because there's lots of people who've had the imaginary cards plot in recent years. Mark Elsden, Colin McLeod, and so on and so forth. Larry Becker and David Regal some years ago. But those routines never suited my style. There was a bit too much verbiage for my liking in those. It went up. We've got a saying over in the UK. It went round the houses a bit, you know. Went on a bit for me personally. And there were some very clever moments in their routines, but I wanted to cut it down, cut to the chase, and get to the essentials, you know. And hopefully, I've achieved that with this piece. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean that is amazing. I mean, just thinking about it, I'm thinking you could do an invisible deck routine with a regular deck. So you could start with that. The king of spades is face up in the face down deck, or vice versa. And then you can go into your regular routines, but you've just blown them out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, I've got a friend who works overseas. He's based out of Italy at the moment. Not a well-known guy, but he's a very good thinker, very smart thinker. And prior to COVID, he was using this routine as a quick kind of 1 minute boom, boom, boom opener after going on. He would just go to the front of the stage, ask somebody to help. You don't have to come out, and do that routine. And he would pull out the card at the end, but it would be one of those Anglo-sized jumbo cards. So it played really big for a small stage kind of stand-up environment, you know.
Yeah. It's really good.
Yeah. And I think ultimately the people who you're performing it for and your audience are going to think that it was a choice of any card in the pack by the time that's finished.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely because of the linguistics and the smoke and mirrors that are thrown around that as well. Because that's where in the real magic lies. And I discuss this all the time with my dear friends in the Northeast, Mick Wilson and Michael Murray, who are absolute masters at linguistic deception. That's the best way of describing it. And, you know, often magicians talk about the reframing at the end and things, but, you know, reframing is not fully understood. It's understood by some people, but it can go so much further. This is why people like Juan Tamariz and Danny DeOrtiz, their work is just so strong, because they're not just doing the effects, they're playing with your minds, they're manipulating the timeline of an effect where you misremember things, because memory is malleable. And you boys know when you do your gigs up and down the country, the public kind of recreate effects that didn't actually happen sometimes, you know, they really do. But what you can do with what Danny and Juan are masters of doing, and Juan has sort of passed on the baton to Danny in recent years and the whole Spanish school of thinking, is this, you know, this perception-based thing, you know, and where people forget the true chain of events. Yes, the pack was shuffled. Yes, the pack was cut, but maybe not in that order. It might have been cut first, then shuffled, or vice versa. Doesn't make much sense without doing an example. But believe me, you know, it really, really can. You know, I mean, Danny's got a lovely thing. I mean, Andy, pack of cards. There's 4 suits. Yeah, you got the red suits. That's the hearts and the
diamonds,
and of course clubs and spades. And we're going to do a little something with one of the suits. And what suit did you say?
Diamonds.
Okay, we'll work with diamonds, but we could use clubs. We could use hearts. Any suit is possible. That's Danny DeOrtiz. I've just forced a suit.
Yeah,
I've just forced a suit on you. That's Danny. You know, it's just being conversational even, and in the moment. That effect I did earlier, by the way, with the Destiny. That's called Destiny. And that's available tonight as well. You guys have got the details there. I don't want to. That's the one there. Yeah, thank you. Any more questions? Any more questions coming in, boys?
Let's have a little look.
Someone said, "I hope that's not my iron brew that you're drinking." That was James Doherty.
Oh, James, good evening. James Doherty.co.uk, the Corby magician. And he's a living legend, that little man. He's actually going to come down and see me on Sunday if he's on best behaviour. So, yeah. He thinks he's staying
some more angle in.
He thinks he's staying in the spare room, but I'm going to pitch a 10-bob tent out in the garden, and he can sleep with the squirrels and the foxes.
Well, I hope the weather stays as it is. It'll be quite nice for him. He'll be okay.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you, Jimmy.
So when you're performing, I know you said you've not performed for a long time. Gone out and gigged. Was there did you subscribe to the school of you had an opener, a middle, and then a closer, or did you, a bit like Harry Robson, a bit like myself, I sort of bounce off the audience? So if I feel like they want something quick, punchy, I perform something quick and punchy. If I feel I can sit down, then I would sit down and perform something a bit more.
Well, the best way of answering that is to take you back to when I first started doing paid gigs, and where when corporate work came in from some of the London professionals, referral work, I would basically load my pockets up with all imaginable kind of crap and have traffic jams going round to tables, trying to find sponge balls, trying to get me flying ring ready, trying to find the invisible deck, you know, or my little mini chop cup and everything else. I think back and have nightmares about it, you know. And but then I started doing restaurants. Years ago, I did a load of us up and down the country did a residency for TGI's, the famous.
Yeah, for John Harding.
This was for Nigel Mead, a lad called Nigel Mead and stuff. And so for 6 months, I did TGI's, and I did nothing. I did nothing but the all-important introduction, which is the most important thing. Rather than going steaming in and asking if they want to see magic, actually go to a table and say good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, kids. If it's a family group, how are you? Are you having a great time? Isn't it lovely in here tonight? I said it's getting busy already, and I was looking at the book earlier, and there's more people coming, and there's a big show on in town tonight. So I spend the first minute just saying hello, how are you, rather than going, ooh, I'm Mr. Magic, and I would do a one coin, like a flurry routine. I would do a card effect, and invariably I would do the bunnies, the sponge bunnies, just the Goshman version, Goshman ones. Although later on I got the Darrell set, the little yellow ones, and but there's some nicely made versions of that out there. But the bunnies, the late great J.C. Wagner, the famous American bar magician, at the Ron Macmillan convention years ago in London, he was chatting with me and a couple of boys at the bar after his lecture, and he'd featured the bunnies in there. And do you know what? And he did it on a young lady who come out, and she screamed when she opened her hand, because I think it was like a girlfriend of one of the magicians or a wife or whatever, and she screamed when she opened her hand, and all those little baby bunnies come out. And he said, you remember that moment there earlier? He said, that went over stronger than all the card effects. The card effects play well, right, boys? I said, yeah. He said, but the bunnies, he said, I never leave it out of a bar set. And I took that man's advice. I must have got through about 10 sets of those things, over a period of a few years. No, never underestimate the sponge balls or the sponge bunnies. Jimmy Doherty will tell you that. Some magicians get poo-poo sponges, but sponges are great. Sponge balls or sponge bunnies or any of the variations, because there's some other nicely made sponge products out there. It's one of the greatest things you can do for the public, especially with that tactile sensation at the end, that OMG moment, with the large load or whatever, never underestimate things like the bunnies or the sponge balls.
No, and the thing is, it is so easy to underestimate them as well. But you're right, they're just amazing, aren't they?
Yeah.
The reaction's big, and the screams they get, sponge balls, sponge bunnies.
Yeah.
You just get screamed.
I was once at an event, it was a wedding, and there was a lady at the table, and I happened to stand next to her. I introduced myself, and she just grabbed hold of my arm and she went, "Don't worry about me, dear, I can't see." And I said, "Don't worry about you, of course we will." And I did sponge balls. So she was in her hand, and then I got her to open her hand, and she felt that there was two. So one had gone in and two had appeared. And she come up afterwards and she said, "I've never ever had a magic trick performed for me."
Wow.
Because she'd obviously been blind and met all the magicians, and they'd gone, "Oh, right, okay," and carried on. And because I'd spent the time, and she was over the moon. And I mean, she wasn't, well, she was late 50s then.
Right.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So I don't ever, I'm with you. I never underestimate them.
Yeah.
They've been able to get me out of some real binds.
Most definitely. That lady experienced a moment of wonder there she'd never had before. If you think about it, it's not particularly easy to think of many effects you can do for a blind lady or a gentleman, that would have that impact that the sponges do, not easy.
Yeah. No, I did that. I did Crazy Man's handcuffs for her, because what I did, I got her to hold so she could feel the tension. And then I said, "Put your hand," and she could feel it when it pinged through.
Yeah.
So I did that. So there was a few things I did, but it's thinking on your feet, and it goes back to the original that we talked right at the beginning. You've got to know the effects inside out to be able to go, right, well, I can actually do this with somebody holding that. And so, yeah. So
I can't do Crazy Man's handcuffs. The rubber band keeps snapping on me, but maybe I can. Anyway.
Oh, the fab. I mean, everybody's got to have a couple of rubber band routines just when you see one, just to pick it up, and it's
that was great.
Yeah, it is. That's just amazing.
We've got a little question
Yeah, go for it.
John, what do you think is the strongest plot in card magic? That's from Sean Mann. Oh, sorry. There we go. That's from Sean Mann.
Good evening, Sean, or whatever time of day it is, wherever you are, my friend. Hope you're well, you and yours. The strongest plot in card magic. That's a tough one. One plot that Gary Middleton and Jimmy Doherty tell you that I haven't for some time because I've been diverted with other things in recent times. But the mystery card plot, you know, an unknown card which becomes a sign card at the end. I mean, what you guys have put out recently, Andy's thing with that folded card. I loved watching that trailer early you put on and everything. It looks so flipping open, you know, that folded thing on the lapel, or you can present it. It can be on the table and you can do a switch, I guess, or on top of a box or whatever. But that paradoxical effect, which literally can't be possible, but it's like a no way. There is no way that is my card because it's got my name on it. You know, the mystery card plot is amazing. Obviously, a lot of our friends in the magic and mentalism world have become enamored, or should I say, become almost besotted with the ACAM plot in the last 12, 15 years. I think a lot of them are chasing, chasing a holy grail that doesn't exist, to be honest with you. Because to me, saying to somebody, name any card, name any number, 2 of clubs, 24, boom, boom, boom. If it happens, you won't always get the kind of reactions you think you're going to get with something like that if you could do it that directly. I think an effect that builds theatrically, where there's actually some process, not boring send your granny to sleep process, but it's an interesting theatrical process and interaction. I think for an ACAN or a card at any number, predicted card at any number or whatever, I think that's far stronger than just saying name a number, name a card, you know, which could be just perceived as, oh, you just got lucky, or oh, it's a coincidence, you know. Far nicer, I think, to theatrically dress a presentation around that plot, which is a great plot. It is a great plot. The ambitious card is still one of the all-time 5-star mysteries for me. I love the effect. Took me a long time before I became happy with various routines that I put together. Because years ago, my ambitious card routines, before I started to become reasonably creative, were almost like, you know, double lift abuse, you know, double lift, tilt, double lift. It was like, you know what I mean? And too many phases. And I think that's our enthusiasm, you think, oh, I can do this ambitious move, that one, this one, that one, that one. The problem therein with that low lies that the routine, you're in danger of either leveling off, flatlining, or dipping, because it's got to build. It's got to keep building. As soon as it starts flatlining or dipping, you know, so just a few favourites there. Thinker card, you know, Thinker card is great, you know, in various forms. I think Joel's got some work on that. I wouldn't mind betting that you have as well, Andy. You two are very creative guys, and I love the plot because a punter, as we say over here, a spectator, they're going to think, hold on, I didn't choose a card or take a card. I just thought of one. Even if they genuinely did think of one, or we created a perception thing on them where it was a pseudo thought of card by the power of linguistics, you know?
It is. I think that's why we never just find a card, do we? We never go, choose a card, goes in the deck, we shuffle it, that's your card. We never, we never do that. It's, I've got the card wrong, then it changes magically, or it then appears in my wallet. So because we need to build that suspense and almost engage them. So you build up the suspense, you say that's your card, they say no, it drops, and then you turn it over, it reveals it, and that brings it back up. So so it's never, like you said, I think I don't have a favorite plot, but I like the fact that when you take them on a bit of a ride, we're all having a good time. The reveal, or it's got it wrong, and then you're revealing it.
So you've got comedy moments, you've got different elements, until at the end, bang, you're performing an amazing magic trick. John, do you mind if we talk a little bit about your bundle deals that you've put on for us? Is that all right?
Yeah, certainly, mate. So what we've got tonight is the most recent book. This is Reflections. 190 odd page hardback book. It's got card magic, coin magic, mentalism, utility sleights. It's also got a very nice friends chapter at the end for some brilliant creators from around the world. Just trying to show you some of the photographic art here. Brilliantly photographed by my friend Phil Smith. And Phil does all my work for me on my books, and he's an absolute legend, the formatting and design. Also at the back of this book, there is a 35-minute workshop on Di Vernon's trick that cannot be explained as a QR code, and a web link to a private site where I discuss one of the strongest effects, actually, I believe that it's possible with a deck, Di Vernon's classic trick that cannot be explained, because it's never the same. You've got a prediction, there's no sleight of hand. You use anything and everything. You count to a card that matches a prediction. You spell, you use equivocate, you use some other underhanded stuff as well, all sorts of stuff. This is normally £35 plus postage, but for UK customers, I can do this for £25 postpaid, 25 postpaid. Anybody from overseas who's tuning in tonight, you can contact me and there will be some shipping, but I can do it for 25 plus shipping, so you're still saving a tenner if you're overseas. Yeah, so that's that. In addition, we've got free packet effects. I've done one of them earlier, the Destiny effect. That comes with custom printed cards and video tutorials. I've also got two other effects. I don't know if we're going to have time to perform them. One's called Yours and Mine, and another's about movie stars called Cinematica. They're all 15, and they come with these video media link cards, something like that, with QR codes. And also, if you like your digital stuff, your instant gratification, I've also got this digital bundle I can send straight to people via email after your order's received via PayPal to me. And it's got my 5 previous books: Carey's Way, Crafted with Carey, Minimalistic, and Me, My Cards and I, and the Carey files on it. That 900 pages of material, cards, coins, mentalism, you name it. We're covering the whole range. And also there's 2 streaming media video products, one called Tools of Our Trade, which is all about card moves, controls, forces, full shuffles, and finally JC on Coin Magic. 8 professional routines with coins, 3 or 4 of which use the classic copper silver coin, and 3 or 4 which loads of different plots. That's £30, and that gets emailed straight away to people upon receipt of your order. And basically I can do a whole package deal, all the digital, the physical, and the free packet tricks, which come in these lovely envelopes with the media links, for £60 postpaid. PayPal to johncareymagic@gmail.com. Thanks for letting me show the boys that, guys, the ladies and the guys that. Thank you.
That's all right. We've just so, in case people haven't seen it, I'm sure they have, but right at the bottom there's your PayPal on there, so people can just send you the money directly. I'm just going to very quickly go over the deals as well once more. So you've got Reflections, which is your book. You demonstrated your routine there, and it was absolutely amazing. That's £25, and that's postage paid in the UK. Anybody who's out of the UK, you can still PayPal you the money plus the P&P, right?
Yeah, they contact me and ask what the postage is, and I just need to cover that if it's long distance, because postage ain't cheap overseas.
We were talking earlier, it's just gone up as well.
Yeah.
Then we've got your packet tricks, and they're all basically at £15 per packet trick.
Yep, they are 15 each, and they all come with the media links and the custom printed cards, etc. Yep.
Yeah, cool. And then there's your mega digital bundle.
Yep, which is sent straight to people's email. They get 5 ebooks, and they're 5 full books. They're not like little pamphlets. They're, there's about 950 pages of material. The first 5 books I ever published, plus 2 streaming, I do stress the word streaming, video products, John Carey on Coin Magic, and also a Moves streaming video product called Tools of Our Trade. Loads of moves and controls, some original work, also some classical stuff covered. I deal even for a newbie or somebody just starting out, maybe 1 or 2 years into Magic, who wants to improve their skill set.
Brilliant. And you've also got a deal, which is the Super Bundle deal.
Indeed. All free packet, the hardback book, the free packet tricks, all the custom printed cards sent like this, and all the digital stuff as well, QR code, links, etc.
That's everything for £60.
Everything for 60 quid, postpaid to the UK, and
Andy's already on there.
I'm like,
Andy's sending me the money already.
thank you.
That's really generous.
that is amazing. Really good.
Yeah, yeah.
We've had lots of people saying books are amazing, buy them. Me and My Cards book is highly recommended by David Hand.
Thank you, David.
So yes, if you've not got it already, I mean, just those effects that you've shown us tonight, I mean, those are worth £60 on their own.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, those forces, they felt so clean and so nice and so open that even over, you know, you're not just performing them in real life. If you were doing Zoom shows and things like that, you can perform them over Zoom.
Yeah.
You
And
can, and I think
of it as well when you went into the brainwave idea.
Yeah.
Really
yeah,
good.
the thing is with Magician's Choice, Equivoke, Equivocate, whatever you want to call it, you know, you have to know how to respond immediately to the scenario that pans out. Mark Elston hit the nail on the head at the bar at Blackpool with me and a few of the guys years ago. He said basically Equivocate is multiple outs with words, and he's right.
Yeah.
But you've got to know what to say, because any hesitation is a death knell for Equivocate, you know.
Yeah, no, it is. You've almost got. It's got to be a conversation, hasn't it? It's not got to be. Oh, okay. Now.
Yeah, because a couple of the methods I alluded to earlier, the imaginary card plots, David Regal and Larry Becker, their versions, like one of them was to do with like an inferno in a big building and everything, and you know, a pack of cards in a building. You had the red family and the black family, and I couldn't make that play for me, you know. Whereas someone like David, who's larger than life when he performs, you know, he's really, you know, I just couldn't make it play, even though I appreciated the subtleties and nuances, how he got down to a card, you know. But I just thought to myself, there's got to be another way, and I found that there is. But it's just being conversational, and that's my style, because when I perform, I'm just like the John you'll see at a convention, you know, maybe at the bar or the cafeteria having a sarnie or a pint. This stuff just happens to be an extension of me, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that should work for everybody. That will work for everybody. But I know it took me years, guys, to feel comfortable in my skin and know who I am and who I'm not, you know. And and I think it's the same for everybody, you know. It's an evolution. It's a magical and life evolution. It really, really is.
It is. It is. I mean, you know, we all look at people like yourself and David Williamson, and you're such unique characters that you perform that when people buy your things and buy your books, they obviously try to emulate you. But like you said, creating your own little character or being comfortable in your own skin is such an important thing. That
it is. Well, case in point, when we saw the little bit of performance footage of you doing the folded mystery card, and earlier this evening when we saw Joelle with the footage with that lovely lady doing the can of fruit gag prediction thing. I mean, it didn't just look like or feel like to me you guys were on performing. It looked like you were having a flipping great time. You genuinely were, and you love what you do. It's not just a case of, oh, here we go, and here's another one. You were actually genuinely enjoying it, and you could see by the audience's you know, interest levels. They weren't kind of like, they were into it, you know, connected, you know.
I guess if you're into what you're doing, your audience will be as well, you know.
Most definitely, you know, and that must start from the get-go, whether you're a close-up magician or even more importantly a stage magician, you know. Tamara's talked about this in the 5 Points of Magic, you know, having the invisible threads connecting from your eyes to the spectators, and you know, and imagine that scenario, and if they start to slip and everything, you have to thread them back on again, and basically, you know, or as the late great Bobby Bernard would say, I've got to rephrase this because it was a little bit dodgy. When you get them by the hold of the you know whats and don't let go until you want to. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're past Watershed. You'd have been fine. You'd have been okay.
Watershed, does such a thing exist anymore? Crikey.
Don't think so. Don't think so.
We've got a
Yeah.
question.
All right.
We've got a question from Alex Fisher. It comes in two parts.
Hello, Alex. Good evening.
Alex is saying, he's asking, would you like to get back to performing after COVID, or at some point in the future, just for the fun of it?
Well, I do the fun of it anyway. The fun of it anyway. Prior to COVID, you know, if I wasn't on the road, like usually like Thursday or Friday night down one of the village pubs here, where I live, that was a regular thing. But I never used to take loads of crap out with me, because I can do mentalism like you guys, or I can do. I've got a pack on me, you know, or I've got one or two things I carry in my everyday wallet, you know, and stuff like that. I was thinking about it. I might like to do something at some point on a reasonably regular basis again. But to be fair, I just love traveling, and you know, prior to what's been going on, and you know, I mean, let me tell you, a lot of people know this story, so I'll cut it very short. But just over 5 years ago, I was getting up at 3:30, 4:45 in the morning, working as a ticket office clerk in London for a railway company, and that was a job I did for 24 years, and I grew to hate it, and it made me ill, you know, physically and mentally. You know, getting home at 2 in the afternoon, having a bit of lunch, and absolutely shattered, and going to bed for 3 or 4 hours, getting up in the evening, trying to sleep again that night, but because I'd slept in the afternoon because I was knackered, I couldn't sleep at night. It was like permanent jet lag. And then, you know, when Mark Leveridge and Magic Scene offered me the chance to publish Crafted with Carey, the first book, through their company, the magazine company Magic Scene, I did that, and within a few months, it was crazy. They'd only just started getting into social media, just Facebook, and I was getting inquiries left, right, and centre from clubs over here and in Europe. And I thought, oh God, you know, and then I got offered a tour of Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, and I actually technically couldn't do it. And I said to my dear mum, who sadly left us this year, back in March, some of you know that, little rest her soul, and me pops, who passed on 5 years this November. I said, like, this is what I want to do. I said, look at this, I've got a month's tour here, about 18 cities across Switzerland, Austria, and Germany. Mum said, that's great, son, but there's a problem. You've got a job, and I don't think you've got enough annual leave. And I went, the annual leave. I said, the job. I said, give me a blessing, darling. I said, give me 12 months of this. Let me use this as a catalyst, a building block. I said, if it goes belly up, I promise you, Ma, I'll go back and get a job, but not on the railways and not doing them crazy hours. And thank God it's, I've just kept my foot on the gas, you know, and, you know, last year I got to go to New Zealand and Australia. I've always dreamt of going to places like that. But for Magic, my Magic paid for me to go out there. People looked after me, put me up in beautiful hotels, showing me beautiful places, for doing some card tricks, some coin tricks, some mentalism, and just having fun. I mean, how cool is that? I am lucky. I say it a lot, and I truly mean it. I am flipping blessed. I really am. You know, I put a lot of thought and time into me work. You know, I'm a daft as a brush, as Jimmy and Gary will tell you most of the time. But I do take my magic seriously. When it's time to focus, I'm a different animal, you know. But I'm so lucky, and we're lucky. I think we're lucky. Everybody who's here tonight will agree. We're lucky that we've had this bubble of magic during the COVID period, because there's some poor people out there who literally are genuinely isolated. You know, even before COVID, you know, elderly people, single people who are quite ill, you know, vulnerable people with mental illness and or physical illness or both. And I think we're lucky in the magic world, and that's why things like what you do, what you and Joel do, what Peter and Harry and Alakazam do, and some of the other companies, I mean, it's great. You know, giving some nice free content and entertainment to people, so that they're not, you know, holed up, and there's people out there, and I know you guys. I pride myself on getting back to questions and things like that, and answering people via correspondence and email and whatnot. You know, and it doesn't take long. You know, it doesn't take long, and the thing that keeps me grounded. Sorry if I'm getting to go on a bit of a speech here. The thing that keeps me grounded is the fact that one, I know what it's like to do a job that I hated, but also, and whenever I see magicians arguing on forums like the Green Place or wherever else, I always think, get a grip, lads. You know, there's surgeons, there's ladies and gentlemen surgeons, doctors and nurses doing major operations around the world now, saving people's lives. You know, and you're arguing over card and coin tricks. get a grip, and as my friend Liz, the lady I mentioned who threw a little do in the garden, we had a few weeks ago, make the most of every moment, because tomorrow is promised to nobody. Literally, it's cliche, and as what's that other saying, today is a gift and they call it the present. It's true.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough philosophical theory.
Well, just to say, I know you say you're very lucky. We say it, but it seems to be the harder you work at something, the luckier you get at it.
Matt Wright and Harry said that to me one night in Blackpool years ago when we was having a couple of pints next door to the Ruskin, because it's a madhouse in there, as you boys know. I think we were in the Rosalie next door, where Gary Middleton, our friend who's on tonight, stays each year, and you make your own luck. The harder, the more you keep pushing it, you do make a lot of your own luck.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people getting into magic who, a lot of them, they're obviously quite skilled in the social media side of things, but some of them are not ready, I don't think, but they're very good at using social media, and they want all this. I hate it when I hear people saying, please like, share. If your stuff's good enough, people will like it and people will share it. That's just my opinion anyway,
Oh,
no, that's right.
No, totally. I mean,
rather than somebody forcing, I guess also, like, if you're asking people to like and push your stuff, you're not really going to learn what people actually like. You're just getting a false perception.
Yeah, well, I know some people who do that without naming names, and they do it very, very well. But I find it cringeworthy where they do it to basically monetize their YouTube and stuff like that. But each their own, you know what I mean? And absolutely. I mean, mind you, you've got to go some to make decent money via monetization on YouTube.
Yeah, I know they've changed it all now. It's you've got to go some now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, we've had another question.
Yeah, we've got another question. We've got one from Paul Sylvester.
Oh,
and he's asking. He's saying, "I'm always interested in how people practice. What is your practice process?"
A pint of lager, a packet of Walker's crisps, and a packet of
I'm going to convert to the Church of John. That sounds amazing.
But
for me,
I don't have a heavily regimented practice process, Paul, and anybody who's listening in tonight. One thing I always say to people I teach, though, is just practice, work on one thing maybe for a week. Rather than, like I said earlier, rather than 10 or 12 things. Take one plot you like, the 4-ace assembly or something like that, and just work on that. Make notes and stuff like this. But there's a whole difference, as Eugene Berger once said to me, between practice and rehearsal. They're two totally different animals, because rehearsal is when you're actually practicing the speech and the delivery and pretending you've got a spectator, which can be quite off-putting to do. So no real actual. Everybody's different with practice, I mean, if you're taking a coin vanish. Is it possible to take that text down a moment, please, boys? And I'll show the guys something. Is it possible to take that bit of text down? No.
I'll take text down.
Lovely. Hey,
John, we're ready to practice.
Check you out. But just practicing vanishing just practicing vanishing a coin, doing it as drills. Actually doing the real action a few times.
Yeah.
Vernon used to say that, do the real action, and then try to simulate that to make it look exactly the same. That's good practice, and what have you, and or things like this is a tip Tyler Erickson gave me. Have one for me. I've got no booze in the house tonight, which is unheard of.
We thought, well, seeing as we're going to practice,
we thought your top tip of the day: pint of lager and a packet of crisps.
Awesome. Just practicing things like coin drill. Tyler Erickson showed me this, a wonderful American teacher, sleight of hand. Where if you had a pen on the table, there's two ways to do this. You say, I've got a coin, and I've got a pen, and you do this, and you make the coin disappear. But instead, what Tyler advocates is to look down to the coin and say, and on the table, as you talk on the table, and then make the vanish. There's a subtle difference there between doing, I have a coin and I have a pen. Rather, you do something like this. You say, a silver coin, and on the table, as you cross the gaze, it's like a slidini technique. You see? Just things like that. Practice that, you know, maybe 20, 30 drills, you know, or if you have trouble with classic palming a coin, in Bobo's magic, one of the tips he gives in there is to put some other coins or small items on the table. So you've got that in right classic palm, and practice picking up objects and keeping the coin in palm, putting coins down. It's like a little drill. Only 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day. And one thing I must say is, obviously we work in a world which is a lot faster, too fast for my liking, and stuff. And there's so much peer pressure on people. Some people say, I don't have time to practice. You do, but you don't realize it. Doesn't mean you have to do 6 or 8 hours a week. If you could find 3 20-minute blocks a week where you've got no disruption, the missus and the family are all sound and taken care of, or they're out shopping and you happen to be at home, well, that's a good time to practice, you know. 3 20-minute blocks a week. I'm sure everybody can find an hour a week, you know. But don't overdo it, because if practice stops being enjoyable, then you're in dangerous territory. And as Vernon once said, you might want to take up another hobby. You know, keep it interesting, keep it fresh, and ask yourself questions. You know, don't do the same trick the way John Carey or Wayne Goodman or Matt Wright or Harry Robson do it. Just think to yourself, what if? You know, how can I make this me? Like you mentioned earlier in conversation, how can I make that blah blah affect me? You know, okay, like you said earlier, to expand a routine, put the gags in, the lines, the bits of business. Or how can I make it more mysterious? How can I make it more impactful, you know? And, you know, and that's practice as well. Practice in the creative process of how you can take an existing piece and make it even stronger. You know, take one of your releases, Joel, I think it was called Volition, and then you knocked it out of the park with the poker chip version. I think it was the poker chip version, with the English poker chips. It was blooming lovely before, pal. But the way with the poker chips, it took an already strong piece of close-up mentalism and made it so much stronger, you know, because you should never stop thinking. You never know what's around the corner. You know, even a piece you've done for years, a piece that you might have done, Andy, thousands of times at a corporate. And all of a sudden you'll get a ka-ching, a light bulb moment, and you'll think, why didn't I think of that 5 years ago?
Yeah. Well, we do it all the time with a lot of the stuff that we release. Once people have bought them, we always update, or we add extra videos. So we did
we've done it with a lot of different stuff, haven't we?
Wallet King, we did, because we were messing about, and I said we can use it to dead cut cards. So you'd force a card, just dead cut straight to it, so you'd pick it up and show it. So we went through the explanation and we uploaded all that. So we're always reworking stuff, and
Lincoln, extra idea for that.
Yeah. So
that's lovely. That's lovely where you give the extra content to people. Peter and Harry do that so well at Alakazam. They put bonus. You're very welcome, Paul. Thanks for your reply, Paul Sylvester. They give bonus content to the customers, and it gives customers added value, not just perceived added value, genuine added value. You know, and that's how you retain your client base as well. You know, it can, you know, it can take years to build up a business. You can lose it in 5 minutes if you act the wrong way in this world today. Oof.
Yes, and I think it's because I use them, and we go out and perform them, and we're trying different things, and especially nowadays with the whole Zoom thing. And you're right, what can I do? What do I use? And because we're using them all the time, like yourself, you'll perform effects over and over and over again, and then one day you'll change something. You'll do, instead of doing a palm and a cut, or you'll change it up and you'll do something else, and you'll go, oh, that just makes it so much cleaner, and so much, it flows better, and
it can change the whole thing. One little tweak can alter everything.
And that's the fun aspect as well. It can be frustrating because you might have been doing a tableside piece for years and it's always been good, and then you find something with that same piece and it elevates the effect another 20-30%, and you think, oh, flipping hell, why didn't I think of that years ago? But then the flip side to that is it's that lovely moment. It's because we're all big kids in a magical pond. I always say, us magicians, it's like that kind of childlike excitement of, yeah, you beauty, you know. I've just added something to one of my favourites, you know.
It is. It's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you did say if we've got time, you'd show us something else. But just before you do, you said when you go to the pub, you always have stuff in your wallet. What is it that you keep in your wallet? Is it coins? Do you have?
No, in the wallet, I've got the Destiny effect. That's an always. I've got the Destiny with me. I've got the Destiny with me. I've got some business cards as well, just for a basic routine. Like it's based on Patrick Cuff's business card peak, which he had on one of his Penguin downloads. What else have I got? A deck on me in my pocket. I never take out my magician's coins when I go to the pub, but I can always work. I hate most of our coins, but the £2 coins and the 50p's, I can always do. I can always use. And sometimes one or two propless things. I've started to get interested in the propless arena, mental stuff in the last year or two. Working on something now, no spoilers, but something quite exciting now, because propless stuff is interesting, provided it's not too heavily laden with process, you know. It's a balance. It's a balance, you know. Or what did Peter Turner say? Prop less, maybe. You know, there's one moment where that you do some. I mean, because if you think about it, you know, if you get secret information from a business card, and the cards go away, or it's in the pocket, and then it's just you and the spectator, well, that's propless. Because the prop's away, you've got your information. That's propless. I think a lot of people are chasing dreams, and some people hit it. You know, take Michael Murray with his isolation, his Sphincter card, which is insanely brilliant. And other examples I could think of, where it's pure. There literally is no props. You know, that's tough. I mean, I can always remember the first propless trick I learned. I think it was from that David Nixon book, or one of the books Mum and Dad got me a year or two afterwards. And it was the old thing where you have a picture of a clock, or you get somebody to look at their old-fashioned analog watch, and you get them to think of a number and then look at the number directly opposite, you know, and subtract the smaller from the larger to get the number 6, you know. Or I guess psi forces, you know, they're propless, aren't they? If you quickly put somebody on the spot and say just name a vegetable, the odds are that they'll say a carrot more often than not, you know. And so on and so forth. But and pin divinations. There's even guys out there doing propless pin divinations. I bet Mr. Dickinson's got work on that I'm not aware of. I mean, that's strong. But one thing, if you're doing pins, and going off on a tangent, I don't think you should ever compromise yourself or your participant and actually use their pin. I've heard some people do that. I think it should be a fantasy pin. I don't think you should compromise yourself or that person who's been so gracious to help you to actually crack their real pin or tell them their real pin in any way, shape or form. I just think morally,
it's quite nice to get them to imagine a new pin number or create a new number.
Exactly, Joe. Yeah,
and I guess that also makes it a little bit more impossible as well to reveal a pin number that isn't actually a pin number.
Yeah, you could have known, you know, and you know, because some of these app-related things are becoming a bit scary. They're very clever, but it really is like 007 on steroids with some of these things, isn't it? You know, where you can get all this information. There's a fine line there. Somebody's going to get in trouble one day if it goes too far, I think, you know, but, you know, for entertainment purposes only.
It is.
David Hand has asked, and obviously don't feel obliged because we've already seen plenty of tricks. Is it possible to see the packet trick cinematica or yours and mine, or just a brief description?
Well, I'll do one of the phases from yours and mine, if that's all right. I'll have to wing it a bit, but I'll get one of you. But stay split screen with me, guys. You'll see why in a moment. You were here. If you were here, I would say, Andy. Let's say Andy's going to help us. I'll get you to shuffle them, and I'll shuffle mine. It's a little game called yours and mine, and these are genuinely being shuffled. I'm having to wing it here, yeah. And then we would swap packets, Andy. I would shuffle yours, and you would shuffle mine, and they are, ladies and gentlemen, genuine shuffles. And I say, to make it even more random, we're going to throw a couple here, couple there, couple there, and a couple there. Mix them up some more, something like so. And it's a little game, like I say, called Yours and Mine. I will say to you, Andy, you've not played this before, so I'll show you how it works, and then you just copy me. And I put a couple down, and I have to decide. I'll go for that one on a card. And which one do you want, Andy? The one on my left or the one on my right? Genuine choice.
Left.
That's the one on my left, yeah, which is there. And I'll go back and choose one. I'll have this one. Back to you, my friend. Andy, do you want the one on my left or the one on my right?
Right, please.
The one on my right. And we'll mix these up some more, boys. Yeah, we'll mix these up some more like that. Mixed again. And I'll tell you what, Andy, it's my turn again, but I'm a nice guy sometimes. Which one? You can choose one for me. Do you want me to have the one on my left or me to have the one on my right?
One on your right.
That's my right there. Do you want to change your mind?
No, that one, please.
Back to you, Andy. Which one do you want? The one on my right or the one on my left?
Oh, let's go left again, please.
And you're making all the choices for you. I'm making all the choices for me. Actually, you made a choice for me too.
Yeah.
Back to me, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Very, very scientific or not. One left for you by default. These are yours, and these are mine. Now, remember, the cards were shuffled. You made all the choices for you. I made all the choices. Actually, you made one of the choices for me as well. But these are yours, and these are mine. And the funny thing is, if we turn these over, you'll see that that is yours. You'll see that is yours. You'll see that is yours. And you'll see that is yours. Yours. Well, then this must be mine, 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 and mine. So I guess what's yours is yours, and what's mine is mine. Thank you
very nice, John. Very nice.
Well, there's another phase. I'll bring you one more phase. Well, notice how the cards are printed on black ink and red ink. Yeah, we're going to take equal quantities of red, equal quantities of black, and try to mix them together like that. Something like this: red and black, red and black, red and black, red and black mixed together. Yeah. But what if we could turn back time? Maybe 45 seconds. Just wait a couple of seconds. I think it's done, because you see there is black. You see there is black. You see there is black, and you see there is black. They're mine, and that's yours. That's yours. That's yours. And oh my God, that's yours too. Thank you very much indeed.
Wow.
So that's
really nice.
Thank you. That's 2 or 4 phases that comes with yours and mine. Get the custom printed cards, the video link business card, and there's 2 other phases that come with that as well. Do you boys want to see, do you ladies and gents want to see Cinematica as well before we shoot off, or whatever we've got planned?
Yeah, I think so. That'd be amazing, please.
Awesome. So we've got a little prediction, yeah. This effect actually won me the Psychic Entertainers Award for the best trick of 2019. Of course, I knew I was going to win.
I knew I was going to win.
It's an old gag. It's an old gag. This is a prediction. I'm going to attempt to predict the future, yeah. This little blue envelope here. And these are my movie club cards, yeah? And we're in isolation. I finally got into the 21st century and got Netflix on my laptop. And we've got some famous contemporary actors and actresses here. Emma Watson, Harry Potter fame, Leonardo DiCaprio, Titanic, and Lord knows how many films. Angelina Jolie, beautiful lady, very talented actress. Gwyneth Paltrow, she's good, but not as good as she thinks she is. Brad Pitt, handsome dude. Kate Winslet, Titanic, and so on and so forth. Young Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter was where he made his fame. And from Australasia, New Zealand, and Australia, I always forget Hugh Jackman. And these are a random selection of currently very, very famous actors and actresses. And if you were with me, guys, I would give the packet to you, or you, Andy, or Joel, and say mix them. And then you could swap them and give them to one another to mix them around. And people could just mix these cards, shuffle over to Buffalo, yeah? And then you take the packet back. And I would say, I think you'll agree that most things in life are down to chance, yeah? You know, you think about a friend you haven't seen for a week, and then you go and run some errands in the village or the town, you bump into that friend. Well, that's just chance. Chances are it's going to happen. You live in the same area. But some things go beyond chance, and I think they're fate. Hard to explain exactly what they are. Hard to explain. Fate is something that comes to mind there. But I truly believe, ladies and gentlemen, that some things are mapped out for people in their lives, and the only word for that is destiny. You know, destiny. Yeah. Then I would ask my participant, I say, you've shuffled those, yeah? And they say, yeah. I say, you gave them to your friend or your partner? They shuffled, yeah. I say, turn the packet face up, and they turn the packet face up, and I say, give it a cut, and they give them a cut. Turn the packet face down and deal the top card face up to the table, and they deal it down, and then deal the next movie star on top, then the next one, 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 and finally the last one there. So I'd say you've created basically a random situation here. If you shuffle those cards again, you probably never get this order of movie stars where you've got Angelina Jolie here, Brad Pitt there, Daniel Radcliffe here, Emma Watson there. And remember, you shuffled, etc. And then I say, do you remember I said earlier, I think some things are mapped out for people in their lives. And the answer for that is destiny. Well, I'm going to cast a spell and actually spell destiny. One movie star at a time, yeah? So that's DESTINY. And we arrive at Mr. Leonardo DiCaprio. But it could have been Kate Winslet, Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt, Gwyneth Paltrow, Emma Watson, or Hugh Jackman. Remember, you shuffle, blah, blah, blah. This prediction's been here the whole time. And inside, we have one card and one card only. And there is Mr. Leonardo DiCaprio, age 3 months old. I'm John Carey. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. Oh, you want to see what he looks like now? All right,
turn it on.
Yeah. And there is Mr. Leonardo.
Really good.
That is really good.
Wow.
Thank you very much indeed. Cinematica.
And you've got the 3 packet tricks. You've demonstrated them. They're absolutely brilliant. That's the Destiny packet trick. And the one you just performed there was Cinematica.
Yep.
And then
the other one was yours and mine.
Yeah, wow. And they're only £15 each.
Yeah, £15 each, postpaid, yeah.
Wow, that's really generous. Thank you for performing them.
That's
a
amazing.
pleasure. I'm really enjoying tonight. This is so laid back and chilled. Thanks a million for asking me on, boys.
Oh, honestly, it's a pleasure. It really is. I mean, we're getting lots of people saying how amazing your stuff is, and it just to show. I mean, to see it. I mean, I've seen it dozens of times at different places, and it always what I like is the visual nature of it all. It's, you get to tell you a bit of a story, then you deal them down, and like you said, the prediction's there, and
yeah,
it is.
And you're kind of taking it away from card tricks as well with them packet tricks. They're not like just standard card tricks.
Yeah, I don't really have much in the way of work on sort of standard sort of AC things with packet tricks and stuff like that. I think that kind of area of packet tricks has been well and truly swamped over the years. There's been some great ones out there, But I genuinely think interesting plots with, effects with small packets to categorize, whether they're movie stars or things with different themes, photographs, or any kind of theme related thing. It's very captivating and commercial, and you can easily build good, strong, solid, and interesting presentations around them. And with yours and mine as a case in point there, those 2 of the 4, there's 4 phases with yours and mine, but I just had time to do 2 tonight. They're essentially, they come from card tricks, them 2 effects. The first one with all the 3 choices, you and me, was inspired by Mexican Poker by John Bannon and Dave Solomon, who basically took an effect of the late great Alex Elmsley called Power Poker, which required a whole load of bottom deals, and took out the bottom deals. And then I started thinking about what John and Dave did with Mexican Poker to end up either with a straight flush or a royal flush. And I took out 1 or 2 things I didn't like. And I thought the premise of yours and mine is an amusing one, an interesting one, And the second effect I did is an oil and water to all intents and purposes. Yep. Notice how some of these cards are printed on red ink, some in black. But I didn't talk about your oil and water there. You can if you want to, but yours and mine, I don't talk about oil and water because Mr. Doherty, James Doherty, has gotten far too many mentions for my liking tonight. He absolutely hates oil and water. So if you want to wind him up when the convention's open again, lads and ladies, just go up to him and do an oil and water.
the world's longest oil and water evening.
Love you, Jimmy. Love you, Jimmy.
15 phases.
Oh, good God.
No, but it is. And what's really nice is they can be examined. They're not any rough and smooth or anything like that. They can be shuffled. They can be handed out. They can shuffle them. Yeah, that's what's really nice about them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I mean,
No, it's a pleasure. So have we got any more?
Any more questions?
No more questions. Everybody's happy. Everybody, we must have answered all the questions. We've solved all the world's magical problems this evening, John. So that's it.
Mate, lads, it's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you for asking me along, and please God we'll all be able to get out there a bit more often and do what we love sooner rather than later. But in the meantime, thanks a million, Andy and Joel. Thanks a million to all your viewers, your customers, and keep supporting these guys with their products and their releases, guys, because these two guys love what they do, and it shows. They're here for the long game. You know, they're not just going to run away and everything anytime soon. They're genuine performers, professional performers. They work hard at what they do, and it shows in the quality of the work that they put out. So, good stuff. Good night, everybody.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, John. We're meant to be saying this about you.
Yeah, we're meant to be going out. We're meant to be.
You said enough nice things about me tonight. I'm more than happy, and thank you for all the lovely questions tonight. Thanks for letting me share some of my little bits of magic with you tonight as well. And just take care, everybody, and keep smiling and keep enjoying your magic.
Oh, John, thank you so much. If you do want to get in touch with John, his email, we've been putting it across the screen. If you want him for any lectures at your societies or anything like that, Zoom meetings, anything at all, I'm sure you'll be happy to put them in the right.
Be happy to oblige. So I'll say good night for now then, and hope to do another one of these sometime. That would be lovely. Thank you very much indeed.
John, tell you what we'll do. I would love to at some point get together and we'll practice in real life with a pint and a packet of crisps.
You're on. You're on. Take care, Andy. Take care, Joel. Good night, everybody.
Take care, John. Thanks ever so much. Take care.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye. Oh, how cool was that?
That was really nice.
Do you know, I say it every time, but we do have such an amazing community.
Yeah.
I mean, John's given his time up this evening to come on and perform and do a few effects and, you know, and strange effects.
Share amazing ideas as well. Yeah. What I really like, the packet tricks. How he, as I mentioned earlier, how he's took away a card, you know, standard card trick.
They're not on bicycle backs, are they? So they just look like. Yeah. I mean, I must admit, I was sort of took because my background was working in a magic shop, so some of the effects were quite nice, the packet tricks, but I always thought, why would you just take 4 cards out of a deck?
It's always a bit unusual to go, here are 3 cards or 4 cards. Or, and then. And the other thing, I never really questioned, like you just said about, you know, bringing out 4 cards is going to look unusual.
Yeah.
I never really questioned why has he got these cards, pictures of celebrities on them, or why has he got these cards that says yours on and mine, because they are what they are.
Yeah. It would be, you know, because the way he structures it is, do you believe in destiny or fate or anything else? Well, the reason I'm asking is because I've got these, and these are mine, and these are yours, and you know, so
it all makes sense.
It makes, you know, but you know, I without you lot watching, I think Joel and I would just be doing these anyway because I enjoy them, and just we'd be sat in my magic corner just here, and we'd be doing them. But it makes it even better because you lot are out there. So thank you very much, and you tune in every Wednesday, and I know some go on later but I hope you come back and watch them, you know, over the weekend and that sort of thing. So
we've got a great guest next week.
Yeah,
we've got a really nice guest. Next week is a good friend of mine, a guy called Adam Hudson.
Yeah,
you've met Adam.
I have.
You met him at Blackpool.
I did. I met him
at the convention. Yeah. Adam, the stuff that Adam's going to demonstrate a lot of his magic as well. You know, and he'll be demonstrating Lord. But basically, with Adam, there'll be no stopping it. We'll just be, we have to kind of
rein him in.
Yeah, exactly. But he does a lot of magic with numbers.
Okay.
He can genuinely appear to read people's minds. He's got some of the best. If you remember with when we had Mark Oberon on, he said, "Try and get Adam on." Yeah. Well, we've managed to get Adam on. He goes out performing. He's written books. Yeah. He's a fantastic magician. Yeah. Really, you've got to check out Adam next week. So next Wednesday, 8 o'clock on the
Adam
Workers.
Adam Hudson.
Adam Hudson. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
yeah, and obviously, you know, John's got his stuff out there. It's an ideal time to be getting these stuff and practicing. And I mean, the stuff he was doing, the linguistic stuff,
Yeah.
was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, imagine this was one of the things we were talking about. Imagine holding that card, the King of Spades.
Yeah, well, we were talking about this last week.
Yeah.
He was just stood with one playing card.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he's done.
Yeah, I've got one card. Imagine having a question mark on an envelope and just that one card in there, and using the linguistics to actually tip out the card. It's this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
That's in his book, Reflection.
Yeah.
And that was fantastic.
Yeah.
If anybody is interested in that, as John explains, there are a lot more tricks, obviously, within the book. That's why it's a book.
I mean, I'm just looking now, just based. I mean, to have a book produced, I mean, and it's a beautiful book as well. I mean, have it produced, pay for postage. I mean, postage is going to be at least 4 or 5 quid.
Maybe a bit more, £6 or £7 for a book.
Yeah.
And it's a thick book. We saw it. Full illustrations as well. I'm going to be picking that up.
I've got one. I've got one.
You got it?
Yeah, all right. Like I said, I love his stuff because it's so usable. You know, it like you said when he was talking about that last effect, and it was taken from an effect where they were doing bottom deals, and then they altered it, they took out the bottom deals, and then he said, I took it and I'm like, well, I could get away from that and do this, and it's pure magic. I mean, it performed it there on screen.
Yeah.
There's no awkward moves. There's no funny lifts. There's no. It's almost as clean as real magic, really. It is. Yeah. So it is.
Yeah.
We've Kay. Hi, Kay. You're a bit late, Kay. We were talking about you earlier.
I can't see Kay. What's Kay saying?
Kay's just said she's watching.
Oh, Kay's watching.
Yeah, Kay's watching. I'll just.
Hello, Kay. Everybody says hello.
Hi, Kay. Hello. Adam is a great thinker. That's Mark. Yeah. I've not seen any. We got to talk to him at Blackpool, but I didn't really see any performances. So I'm genuinely excited for next week. I'm like,
oh yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, it's going to be brilliant. Yeah. Gideon, having only joined Magic recently, I can vouch for how friendly and welcoming the industry is. People are always willing to help him.
Yeah. You might be just really nice, Gideon. Everybody else like no. Gideon's really nice, actually. I've messaged Gideon a few times with different things, but yeah. So yeah, well, I hope you've enjoyed it this week. It's not been the 3 hour that we normally. So but even still, 2 hours.
I'll be home at a reasonable time.
Yeah. Do you know, just to let you know, Joel, I said to him, what would you like to eat? Paella. I've had to make paella today.
That was really nice.
It was all right.
Yeah. We should warm some up in a little bit and have some more.
Supper's ready. Paella.
So we'll see you all next week.
See you next week. Don't forget, like it, share it in all the groups. If you've got any questions, and if you'd like to see somebody that we've not sort of discussed, or you know, if you want people to come on, feel free, let them know, tell them to get in touch with us, or even just drop us an email with their name and we'll try and get them on. We are talking with a few other bits and pieces, and hopefully we can get some nice guests on over the next few months. And again, if you want us to maintain this, I know people are going back to work. If you want us to carry on doing this even after lockdown and we get to some sort of normality, let us know, because I mean, we enjoy doing it. We're talking about going out and doing them at different venues, so we could almost get a few magicians around the table and almost have it like a mini lecture, really, and doing things like that. So yeah. And what else did we talk about? Oh, we did talk about putting almost like a live session where you could come and we'd hire, obviously when we can all get together, we'd have a little venue, we'd have 20-30 people turn up, we'd have a few guests, we'd film it all, so you could ask your questions in real life, basically like a live magic jam. Yes, you know, like in the sense of this is the magic jam, we'll be doing it with guest magicians, tutors, and even maybe put on a little bit of a show as well, which would be amazing. Oh, Gideon's just reminded me, it was the envelopes for my torn and restored card to envelope. Oh, right. So So he messaged me and I said, I think they're this size, and then I found the ones that I ordered. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's what we're here for. If you need anything, want anything, you know, ask us. We're always about, you know. Doesn't matter.
So we'll see you next week. Don't forget, Adam Hudson, 8 o'clock. Nice to see you all.
Hit share.
Hit share. Bye.
Bye.